Okay, Robin, finally, staying with you. You, of course, came back recently from the UK covering the group stages of the ICC Champions Trophy. Just tell us a bit about your experience, what some of the highs and lows were. I'm sure we all know what the low, the low point was. But also, funny enough, last week we were talking to Paddy Upton about the psychology in the dressing room around, imploding and choking, and that a side like Pakistan seem to do well in knockout tournaments because of this nothing to lose attitude, and then blow me down a week later they won the thing. So also just tell us about your thoughts on that final.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thoroughly enjoyed going to the tournament. For a sort of reasonably oldish fellow, I'm afraid I suppose I have to be accused of a certain naivety. I went there literally believing that South Africa were sort of ripe for actually doing something at this event. I really thought that they were going to break the that old stranglehold, the old bogey, but instead 18 times now of trying since we last won the inaugural Champions Trophy back in 1998. We've tried on 18 occasions to win an ICC limited overs tournament, and after an encouraging start, I thought they were pretty decent against Sri Lanka, and I thought there was still enough left in the tank to suggest that South Africa would then close out the semi-final qualification deal by beating Pakistan at Edgbaston. Remember that Pakistan had come off a dreadful showing against India in their first match, and everyone said, well, Pakistan look nowhere. They look completely off the pace. They look disinterested. And what happens? They go and win the tournament. It just tells you how these ICC tournaments can be something of a lottery, and how the rankings actually mean so little. South Africa blew out, Australia blew out, England blew out quite early. We all thought for all money that India would be the big guns who would then go all the way. And instead, I think Pakistan's natural talent as much came to the fore. You mentioned that they don't have that sort of fear of failure because they are kind of underdogs. Let's not forget they don't play any home matches. For several years now, they've had to use the UAE as their home base, which is very disadvantageous when you think about it. Not having the opportunity to play in front of the home Pakistani faithful ever, and so they sort of get drawn from sort of all quarters, become a little bit of a sort of a hodgepodge crowd. We know that the Pakistanis have had issues with discipline, issues with players getting cited over match fixing allegations and so on. And some of them happily young enough to come back into the mix and make a big difference. But they were absolutely tremendous. There's always natural talent in Pakistan. That's one thing they do not lack. And I think credit must go to Mickey Arthur as well for managing to gel them. Especially from that real confidence-shattering first match.
Well, one South African won something.
Well, absolutely, yeah. We tend to be good at sort of having sort of referees or umpires or some, such like a sort of in officiating positions at the back end of tournaments. It really would be nice if we finally saw one of our national teams actually there at the back end. But lots for South Africa to think about, unfortunately. Maybe our one-day side isn't quite as sort of power-packed as we all thought it was on paper. Maybe we need to review this whole thing with sort of having a plethora of bowling all-rounders. We thought that was going to be a big strength. And in fact, at the tournament, I think Garen might agree with me, it turned out to not really be that. We had issues with Chris Morris not getting that many wickets. Andile Pehlukwayo seemed to take a bit of time to adjust to English conditions. So certainly a lot to work on from a South African point of view. I think South Africa will stay thereabouts as an ODI force, because we know that bilaterally we tend to play quite well. It's just these tournaments that are an ongoing area of contention. And what is the solution? They seem to have tried everything, and I really don't know where the answer lies. But a lot of regrouping to be done before World Cup 2019.